skibbity wop pop pop ba dee ba da pop pop ba dee la da dee da da dee da da dee da da la 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 whoop 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 dee 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 ba da dee 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 la 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 ba da ba da dee 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 da. See, how's my terrible scatting? Is it terrible? We're going for a jazz theme, if people were wondering today. So, Tam?
I'm just enjoying this music, Lucas. I love it. Yeah, beautiful.
There's your gong.
There's the gong. That is the sound of the start of the online meet. Hello, everyone. I was enjoying that jazzy, rolled, oldie-timey, ragtime little tune you had there, Lucas. That was probably my favorite yet.
Pretty
I
good.
feel like we should do an old sort of BBC voice after that. Welcome to the LondonFurs. Tonight we are joined by Atlas Fox, Bavels, Lubisver, Noah, and Fuzzwolf. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining another online LondonFurs meet. It's becoming quite the regular habit, isn't it? I don't know if we can go back to regular life where we actually see people in person. I'm just used to just shouting into the void. Well, hello. Yeah, I'm Tam Wolf. I'm not Annie, as you may have noticed. You've got the substitute teacher again this week because Annie is off gallivanting with his family. Now they're actually able to see people again. I think he's off to go and actually remind himself what his parents look like. So you've got me, but you've got a lovely lineup of our staff. We're going to have a lovely good chat in a moment, and then we will be speaking to our special guest, Fuzzwolf, in the not too distant future. Surprisingly, there's not a huge amount of news that's happened over the last few weeks since we last chatted, so we may just jump straight into catching up with all the staff and seeing how their last 3 weeks have been. So let's start at the top. He's a man called Atlas. Atlas Fox, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm very good. Today I've had, I basically slept in late. I then had a bit of a nap after I had a shower. I then had lunch. I then had another nap. And now I've started this. So I feel like I've caught up on my sleep for the week. And I'm highly caffeinated and ready to go. How about you, buddy? What's going on for you for the last 3 weeks?
Well, let's see. I've just had to deal with some really tedious paperwork in good old British fashion. I moved to a new flat, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh, new flat. Whereabouts are you now in the world?
I am currently in Kingston.
Oh, Kingston. I went to university in Kingston.
Oh, nice.
What a pretty town that is. Have you been walking along the riverside, looking at the ducks?
I've seen swans. I've seen some ducks. I mean, granted, I don't really like going outside, even though with the lockdown lifting, there's too many people outside to the point where I'm getting way too overwhelmed.
I think that is going to be a thing we're all going to have to start dealing with when we start heading back into society, isn't it? It's going to be very strange being around people. I literally can't imagine being in a cramped bar with people like, breathing over your shoulder, shouting out orders and stuff for drinks. That just seems so bizarre right now.
You need to stick to like 2 meters away, so if people get too close, just poke them.
Well, that is true. Just if in doubt, poke people. That's a good rule of thumb.
At least I get my jab.
Well, yeah, hopefully we can there's probably people who are listening in who've had their jabs now, so it's coming. We'll get there soon, and we'll all be able to have a lovely, great big meetup and have drinks again and hugging each other, licking faces, all of that nice thing we used to do.
Maybe not that last part, but I'm more than happy to, wouldn't say no to a hug.
If anybody wants their face licked, you come to me. Or lick anyone's face.
Well, this is like a challenge. Like, yeah, I'll lick anyone's face.
I'll lick that face.
No,
Actually,
man,
I probably won't. Let's put a caution out there. I will not lick anyone's face. So whereabouts in Kingston? Are you in the town centre? Are you near the Rotunda Cinema?
I'm literally just opposite an exotic tagine stand.
An exotic tagine stand?
You know the marketplace area?
Oh, I do, yes, yeah.
I'm literally right there.
So if any given moment of the day you break your exotic tagine, you can rush out the front door and buy a fresh one.
I can buy it. I mean, I can make it myself, but it's nice to know that it's there.
Well, that sounds lovely. I went to, like I said, I went to university in Kingston, and I used to love going to the cinema, which was a beautiful cinema in the Rotunda. And I saw a movie there once where it was Collateral with Tom Cruise. And midway through the movie, the fire alarm went off. Everyone got evacuated. And then when we came back in, they'd restarted the film from some point. So everyone was coming in going, is this like 5 minutes later? 20 minutes later? Is this the finale of the movie? And then everyone was sat there trying to piece together what had happened in the X amount of time that they may have missed. It was fun. Anyway, so what else has been going on? Anything else? I mean, a move is a big thing. That must have been pretty stressful during a pandemic as well.
Yeah, because I was just moving right before the lockdown ended, but also having I didn't move on. I moved out on my own, but my mum was helping me and having to make sure everything was checked, make sure all the bills are paid for, make sure I have all my stuff, make sure I went out to Wilco and bought all the things I need to, live as a functional adult. So I have to quickly learn to adult much faster than I had wanted to.
Well, you've got a massive Wilco's in Kingston. I bought everything for university from there. So yeah, that is a good one. And good old mums. That's what they're for, aren't they? Just to help you out when you're having a move and you're freaking out. Someone on your shoulder to be like, you have rung the gas place, haven't you? You have phoned the electricity company.
I just did it all online, but I'd be remembered.
Oh, well.
At least now I've got room for my future fursuit, so I've got like a nice closet to keep it in.
Well, those are priorities in life, aren't they? Make sure you've always got a good bit of room for a fursuit and a full-size mirror so you can see yourself in your fursuit dancing around.
I do not want to look at myself in the mirror.
But that's the point of a fursuit. You're not looking at yourself.
I like other people to look at me because I'm obviously such a narcissist.
Look at me, I command you.
Look at me.
Look at me. My nearly 8,000 followers on TikTok cannot be wrong.
Wow.
Oh God, I hate that I said that.
Wow. On that bombshell that Atlas has 8,000 followers on TikTok. Who knows what he's been doing on TikTok to get so many followers? The mind wheels with ideas. Where can they find you on TikTok, Atlas, if they're curious as to what you do to debase yourself to get so many followers on there?
Well, you can look at my. Well, if you really do want to, you can just look at my shenanigans. It's Atlas Travel Fox, so same name.
Okay, so if you're a fan of TikTok and want to find out what he does on there, go over there. Cool. Thank you very much, Atlas. Let's drift on by, and I'm going to float onto the right-hand side and talk to Bav. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. Cheers.
Well, what are we drinking tonight, Bav? You on the wine again?
I'm out of wine. I'm moving on to gin and tonic this time. Got some Japanese gin, so I'm going to be.
Was that a Roku gin?
That's right. You nailed it.
I know my gin.
Nice. It's good to know. Yeah. So I've got some ginger. So I'm going to be slicing some ginger and put that into the glass, and then
beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, you classy bitch.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have another beautiful Argentinian Malbec with Bav this evening.
Well, I do have some of those left, but I thought because like the weather's turning, the weather's nice. Let's have some gin, and obviously
crack open a summery gin. Lovely.
Yeah, gin. It's just it's a season. I think it's the summer season's coming, so it's good to get that good feeling back. Like nice blue skies, white clouds, nice sunny weather, and a glass of gin.
Lovely. What's your favorite gin?
Well, my favorite one's always been Tanqueray 10.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with Tanqueray.
Yeah, but ever since going into Roku, I think Roku has become the new winning gin for me. I can just drink that. But to be honest, I'll still go for Hendrick's. That cucumber taste is still still good.
Nice slice of cucumber in a Hendrick's is a beautiful drink.
Yeah. So. Yes, it's a flip of the coin between Hendrick's and Roku now. But I've got Roku right now. Yeah.
Roku's very good. I also recommend Pollination Gin if you have to buy it online.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
it's made in a little I don't know what they call it, like a biodome bubble thing in Wales somewhere. Wow. Basically, they control all the plants and the bees. But they also make a bloody lovely gin. So yeah. Not on commission for Pollination Gin, but I just recommend it's very good. Now, Bab, I was going to talk to you this week about all of the really exciting VR stuff you've been doing. I thought you could tell us all a little bit about that, because that is very exciting. However, when you did give me a demo the other day, it made me very sick, and I had to lay down on the floor.
It's still a top secret thing. It's still a top secret thing. So I'm not obliged to tell you anything more other than that LondonFurs, we are working on something. And when it's near to completion, we will announce it. And that's why we can really do a big shout
Okay,
out.
when's that going to be? Give us a timeline.
Well,
I'm going to hold you to it.
Need a deadline. Come on.
The set deadline is hopefully before the end of May.
Okay.
So we are reaching May right now. Obviously, we're still hard at work on it, but rest assured, it's gonna be interesting. I hope so. I hope it's gonna be interesting. But it's exciting.
It's very exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah, you guys have seen it, and you guys have been excited about it, as have I. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see when it's all finished, when it's all done.
Okay, well, you heard it here. This time next meet, Bav.
Yeah.
We're gonna be saying, where is it? Where's the top secret VR thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see.
So, what else have you been doing in VR? Because I know that's where you now live.
Well, I live there. Well, most of the time it's spending doing those puzzle wars and horror puzzle wars with people. So, I mean, last Saturday, well, actually, to be honest, for the past 2 weeks, we have been doing VR chat hangouts on VR chat. And I think that's been a positive turnout for that. Most people in Discord have been attending these unofficial hangouts, and the turnout's been positive. And again, this evening we are going to be holding another VR chat hangout. So be on the lookout for that. We'll post the link in the VR chat room on Discord, and also make an announcement on it as well. So if you do use VR chat, or you've never used VR chat before but want to give it a go, I mean, you don't need a VR headset. You can just install it and use it on your PC or desktop. And yeah, have a look around and hang out with people. It's like being at a fur meet, but with, in a virtual world. And if you need help finding avatars, I'm sure the people at 10 will help you get your free avatar to get yourself in place, to make yourself feel like at home and with the other people. But yeah, it's like being at a fur meet, but in a virtual world, virtual environment. It's fantastic.
It's pretty good. And unlike a real fur meet, you don't have to queue for drinks. You can just open up your own beers at home, or pour yourself a very strong gin and tonic.
Exactly. And the nice thing about this as well is, I mean, last week we had some people from Thailand turn up as well. So it shows you that the sort of people that turn up are very diverse. Actually, not only from Thailand, we had some people from Sweden as well.
Sweden?
There are people from Sweden that turned up to the hangouts. I think they invite themselves from a friend, because you can, if someone else is in the VR world, if they're friends of someone else, they can join that person in that world and hang out with them. So it kind of expands out from there on. So it's a nice feeling to have people from different diverse areas of the world turning up to this hangout. So
that's very cool. And it is. How hard is it if you've never played it before? Is it relatively easy to get the hang of it?
It's very easy. I think so. This afternoon I gave Lupus a crash course. I'm sure he can talk about it in a minute. But yeah, I gave him a crash course on it, and I think he's got the hang of it. So it's very intuitive. The interface is very intuitive. It's clearly made for VR, so the interface is fairly easy to understand how to navigate. It's a bit finicky because obviously it's still early access. But for now, it's perfectly fine. I mean, it takes like 20 to 30 minutes to get used to the controls and knowing where things are. So
it's very cool. And so where did you say you're going to put the link for that?
Yeah, so we'll put the link in #VR_chat. We got it right at the bottom somewhere in where is it? In voice text. Not in gaming, sorry. In gaming. In the gaming section.
Gaming.
Yeah, we have a gaming section. But we will also announce it on the announcement section as well. We'll probably make a tweet about it as well, so if people are tuned in, they can join.
Oh, very
join
cool.
The session. But yeah, you'll need to join our Discord server in order to join the VR chat room. Otherwise, it's one way to protect ourselves in terms of making sure the people that turn up are people genuinely interested in joining the world, rather than people cause trouble. So VR chat, like any other public place, yeah.
We need to get
we will be there.
Bad Boy Bunny to like boot people out.
Yeah. We need Bad Boy Bunny to be at the door. But so far so good. Everyone's been great. There hasn't been anything like that. So that's why it's gone through. It goes through Discord, and it's easy to join through Discord anyway, because Discord provides the services and tools to create easily join links to the server without figuring things out for yourself. click and join sort of thing.
Oh, very cool. Well, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
listening in and you fancy giving it a go, then why not
Yeah.
take tonight as a time to give it a try, and you can go over and have a chat with Bav, who will be running around and bouncing
We'll be
around.
around,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, very cool. Thanks, Bav. Let's
Nice.
let's keep moving on. So, Blue, last time you sounded like a robot. Are you going to sound like a robot this week? That's the question.
Do I sound like a robot?
No, you sound unbelievably loud though. So
Excellent!
You're giving me-
Loud!
you're giving me 10. I need a 2 right now.
Sorry.
How are you?
Bad?
Well,
Sorry.
you're very, very loud. So let's take it down. Let's take it down a notch and tell us about what you've been up to.
down on the stream. So.
Good,
Thank you.
good, good,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
Leave us at my eardrums. Thank you.
Sorry.
So how are you been, Blue?
I am doing well, yes. Well is yes. I definitely didn't forget about this meet until you pinned it just now in the group chat. Definitely didn't forget about it.
I saw you jumping in a little bit late. Then wasn't going to mention it. It's fine, but you
Yes.
brought it up now. So, why aren't you committed to the London Furs meets? Why are you always late?
Well,
Wow,
you
publicly.
see,
You don't have to answer that, buddy. So let's hear about what you've been up to. What have you any highlights over the last few weeks?
well, it's getting to the end of my projects for sixth form, so I'm looking towards the next step in universities and all that. So all those student finances, I'm going, okay, what do I do with these?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty
And-
intense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what it is, you know?
It is what it is. Do you know what university you're going to?
Yeah. I only put one submission in for one university, which is not recommended. However, they said with provisional, yes.
Oh, very well done. Very well
So-
done. Where and which university is that, if you
That'll
want to
be-
say?
Brunel University.
Oh, Brunel University. I used to live opposite Brunel University. It's a lovely part of the world.
Oh,
Same as me, Brunel.
Yeah. Atlas went to Brunel as well. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be
Yeah, it's a lovely campus. And what will you be studying at Brunel?
games design.
Oh,
Absolutely.
very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Hoping.
All right, well,
Yeah. Hoping to
so,
go into,
so you've got to sort your finances out. Have you sorted accommodation out? Do you know? Are you living in halls?
Well, I'm hoping to Bella. Sorry, my dog's just sniffing herself to death. The joy of having a Jack Russell pug cross.
Oh,
Oh, Bella, do you want out now? Yeah. With the accommodations, I don't know yet. Neither me nor my mum have heard anything about accommodations. However, someone else who has applied for Brunel, who goes from a school, he's heard about accommodations for it. And I know it's pre-booking for the first year.
okay.
So-
Okay.
It's-
Well, my ex used to go to Brunel, so the halls are very nice, but the people in the halls, I can't vouch for them because they were like wild animals for that first year.
well, I mean, I guess it's the freedom of it, isn't it? Going from
Yeah, I think
know-
there was probably a little bit too much freedom because there were fireworks being set off every time I would visit him. We would the alarms would go off and we'd stand outside in the cold for 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times a night. It took the edge off visiting, I'll have to say. But it's fun. It's
Oh,
fun when you're
God.
young, you youths, and you not need for sleep.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. In
Ah, well.
personal matters, I've started a D&D campaign, the second one that I've run ever. Proper.
Oh, very good, very good.
It is a high-level campaign where they managed to delete half of an ancient red dragon's health, which is an incredibly high-level creature for those who aren't into D&D. It would probably be a Dark Souls boss if it was put into Dark Souls terminology. And I managed
Nice.
to eat half its health in one turn.
And is that where the story starts, or is that
That's where the story starts. Yet, deleting
Nice.
Red Dragon.
so? Are you fleshing out all different storylines right now, ready for anything?
It's as I said, it's more like a one shot. It's going to be a short campaign-ish to sort of test out the rules that I've written, so that we can go into a proper campaign and have a proper go at it.
Oh well, good luck with that. I am enviable of any dungeon master that has all of this worked out in their heads and can handle any situation, especially if they ever play with me, because I go weird.
Yes, well, weirdness I can handle. What my players are, however, are I have 3 min-maxing munchkins in my party. 3 of them. Those min-maxing munchkins, for those who are, again, not aware, are people who try and find out the optimum way of playing something to the point of breaking games just by existing. So,
well.
yeah.
Well, good luck with them, and I'm sure you'll do well. And we'll catch up next time, and you can tell us how it went. And
Thank you.
but good luck. Let's move on and keep moving
Indeed.
to the right on my screen, which takes us to LupusFur. How are you, buddy?
Hello. I'm here.
Hello.
I'm
Hi.
talking.
How's your week been? How's life?
So I think the biggest event in my extremely exciting and very high-flying life is I went into the office. I actually went into the
Whoa.
office. It's like, wow, it's a thing. It's still there.
All the plants have died.
All the plants
A
have
thick
not
layer of
died.
dust.
No. People actually went in and watered the plants, which is quite some level of dedication, I think. But yeah, that was exciting. Get to see members of staff who started at the company who I've never seen before. It's like cool. Yeah, so that was interesting. Being on a train, I remember those things. I also remember the commute, and it's like, oh yeah, this is quite a good walk. My Apple Watch was going, yes, you're doing really good exercise today, and I haven't done really good exercise for like a year and a half. So, so that's that. Second thing was I'm carrying on with my story stuff, my video game, which I may have mentioned last time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning still going on in that department. My diagram for all the stories, for all the different characters and how it interrelates and all this kind of stuff, it's getting huge. But it takes a lot to plan these things.
How are you planning all of this? Is it all in your head right now, or you've got a great big wall of post-it notes with red string connecting dots?
I have the virtual equivalent of the post-it notes and red string. Yes.
Miro board.
It's not Miro. No. I use a tool called MindNode. It's phenomenal for doing this kind of. It's just a mind mapping tool, but you can use it for very structured diagrams. So yes.
Very cool.
It's fun.
Did you have a rough timeline that you're working to for this, or is it all just it'll be ready when it's ready?
It'll be ready when it's ready. Yeah. I mean, it's probably end of the year. I hope to at least get something done. There's a whole load of stuff which I need to do in terms of, because it's all going to be basically a text adventure before I actually start building the game around it. So things like creating models for characters, scenes, and designing environments, and doing terrain generation, and all that kind of cool jazz.
Wow. Do you ever wonder if you've bitten off too much?
Mate, I've done this before.
It's just what this before or bitten off too much?
No, well, both. Let's say both. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I used to work in video games a long time ago, so it's all familiar territory to me. But it's new to me to actually start something from nothing. I mean, literally nothing, to actually go from an idea about how to tell a story Of course, I published a book beforehand, and that's obviously helped in order to flesh out how you're going to do the story in the first place. But then translating it into a video game is different altogether.
Oh wow, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how complicated that is. You're a hero for doing that.
Yeah, keeps me occupied.
Well, that it does. That absolutely. Well, hopefully, when these restrictions end and you're actually able to go back out in the sunshine, we will see you at some point, and you won't just
Yes.
be stuck in your room still,
Yes.
furiously trying to figure all this out.
Yep.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Let's drift on by to Noah. How are you?
Hello. I'm warm.
Well, it's always good to start with a temperature check.
No, I sunk most of today into Frostpunk because I just got Game Pass, and I'm like, oh, this is very addictive.
We've lost you into the ether of games.
Yeah, I mean, I finished Fallout 4, and now I'm on to something else now.
Oh wow!
I'm making it for 5 years of not having the ability to play games.
So you're making up for lost time.
Very much
Very
so.
good. Very good. And what are you drinking this evening, Noah? I know you like to have a drink
At the
during
moment,
these.
just water because I haven't had nothing to eat. But I'll be having some new gin afterwards. I've got some Seville orange and Persian lime gin from Aldi, and I'm like,
Seville orange is beautiful in the gin. It's very nice.
I must say that sounds really posh for Aldi.
yeah. Well, the best
Hey now,
one that
hey
Aldi
now.
do is the peach and orange blossom. It is absolutely divine. It is
That definitely
so good
sounds
you can just
party.
sip it.
Well, very good, very very nice. And how's the photography going? Have you done any of that?
Yeah, I've been. I think I not long done one last time we had the meet, so I've been uploading the photos from that. Met up with a friend last weekend, took a couple of photos of him, but not done much otherwise. But I've got shoots planned coming up, so I'm excited for those.
Oh, very good. Anything that you can talk about, or are they all secret?
Oh yeah, no, I've got a couple of friends. I've got one Flareon cosplay, and then Coconut from Nekapara, so that's going to be utterly adorable. I've got just a regular just like fashion-y type one, like gothic alternative fashion stuff. I'm in the process of trying to organize some others, so hopefully you have some good content coming soon.
Oh wow! Can't wait to see them. And hopefully, like when you've done those, you can maybe share some of the pictures in the event chat. And we can have a look at them.
I would definitely. I will. What I would do is I will drop my Instagram where I've been putting stuff recently, and I've not put much up yet, but that's where it will be as I put it up. There it is.
Very good. And as last time, I'm just going to keep pimping your services. If anyone does want any pictures taken, I'm sure they can reach out to you because you do beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, man. Look at the time; it's getting away from us already. We should probably start moving on to our very special guest for the evening. So, LondonFurs, are we going to have a nice little drum roll again while you furiously look around for some sound effects for our lovely special guest, which is Fuzzwolf from FurPlanet. I've known Fuzzwolf for many years, and he's joining us live from FurPlanet HQ, and he's a publisher of a great many works. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your paws together, have a bit of a clap for Fuzzwolf. Hello, buddy. Can you hear us? There he is. There he is.
Yes, I guess I didn't come across. Yes, I said hello.
Hello. I thought we can, from our previous chat where I was saying like if the sound doesn't work, that's always the worst moment of one of these online specials, the fear that something's gone wrong. I thought you were just trolling me for a moment.
No. I actually unmuted a second before just to be ready.
Well, good to have you on board. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and FurPlanet and let everyone know who you are and some of the stuff that FurPlanet does.
Okay. Well, so my name's Fuzzwolf, of course. I've had the same persona the whole time I've been in the fandom. I've been a furry since about 1998, and I've always been a wolf. I'm really boring, I guess. I've never changed my my character at
Yeah,
all.
there's nothing boring about Wolf.
No,
That's
wolves,
true.
wolves,
Yes.
wolves are good. Wolves are
No,
fine.
no bias there. Um, and my husband and I have for Planet since 2008, and it's been a heck of a ride so far, and we really enjoy it. And
Oh, wow.
that's me. Yeah.
Nice. I always like delving into people's past and just asking, like, what got you into the furry fandom in the first place back in 1998? How did you get involved in it?
So about a year before that, so I'm Gen X, and my family was not super tech savvy. So I wasn't one of those people that grew up with a computer in the house like a lot of my friends did. So when I was like 21, and I was no, I was sorry, younger than that. When I first got to college, finally had access to a computer lab. And I was like, I've been into wolves and werewolves like my whole life. So one of the first things I searched for, apart from Doctor Who, was werewolves. And all this artwork comes up. And one of those pieces of art is one by Wookiee, which was a werewolf in shadow, seen from the side, just howling up at the moon. And I was like, oh, this is a really good piece of art. And I went to his website, and some of that stuff made me feel funny.
I think this is a story that many people can relate to.
Probably. But I hung around the now it's the Therian community, for about a year before I realized that they were mostly into the spirituality aspect of it, the whole animal on the inside kind of thing. And I wasn't. I was more into the like the visual aesthetic of it. And then I discovered that there was this other community called furry that was, I know some furries do have a lifestyle spiritual part of it, but for me it was like, oh, here's this community that is solely focused on the aesthetic and writing about these characters and drawing these characters. And so that's where I found my home in the fandom, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that, and especially that weird feeling of, I don't even know what this is to be even Googling it.
Right, yeah.
You're trying to like smash random terms in that are going to bring up more pictures of animal people. I don't know what this is. I'm just going to keep searching and searching, and then I don't know. You start talking to another person into it, and you're like, hey, I remember speaking to the first furry I ever met, and I remember going, oh, look at this picture that I found. They was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good, and I was like, makes you want to give him a hug? And he was like, well, that at least. And I was like, little schoolgirl laugh. like, yeah, like, I can't, like, oh my God, other people out there that have these same feelings for these furry animal people. Unbelievable.
Very subtle, Tam. Well played.
You mean you want it with a cup of tea, right? That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, like that's entirely what I mean. A sort of, purely platonic hug is what I was going for.
Yeah, it's a good friendly pat on the back.
Yep, a manly handshake. So I'm interested as well because we've spoken to like artists and writers and people that then got into organizing cons, but publishing is an interesting one to be drawn towards. What was it about the publishing side that drew your attention?
So on one hand, I've always been a big reader. My mom gave me Watership Down when I was like 7, and I devoured it. And
Well, you're doing that wrong. You're supposed to read it.
it tasted so good. So of course that got me onto the reading about animals thing fairly early on. That was no more scholastic book fairs for me. So that seed was already kind of there, being a big reader and just having a love of books and having that in my family. And I started as a writer first, and I got a story published in the third volume of FurNation magazine. And then I moved out here to the Dallas area, which is where FurNation magazine was being produced.
Mhm.
So I still had not received my contributor copy. So the owner was like, why don't you just swing by my apartment and get it? And I didn't know until then that he made these magazines by hand at home with a big business-sized printer and a saddle stitch binding machine. And that really fascinated me. So I started like volunteering to help him out with that. And this was in like 2006. And then when he was like getting overwhelmed and ready to move on, he offered to sell FurPlanet to me. And I was immediately like, yes, because I'd been thinking of starting my own publishing company.
Mhm.
And then I had this opportunity to pick up a company that already had a web store, quite a few products available, and a customer base. And I was like, well, that's a better starting point than starting from scratch. But it was really working on like making books by hand and starting to fiddle about, and it was PageMaker at the time. It wasn't even InDesign yet. Fiddling about with layouts and stuff like that that really got me into it. And that was, I was 31 and like I finally knew what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Well, it's funny because I dug out an email, the first email you ever sent me back in 2006, and I was wondering, because you gave a little description about the type of stories that you were looking for, and I was wondering whether it was still the same. So you told me that time that you were looking for an adult story, and I mean in plot, not in sex as such, but with a bit of spice here and there, would suit the kinds of comics we want to produce perfectly. Would you say that is still true?
Yeah, that's. I think our range has expanded a bit since then, but that's still the kind of thing that will absolutely sell. Like you look at something like Red Lantern, where like sex is a part of it, and there's casual nudity, but there's a lot more plot going on and characterization and stuff behind that. So yeah, like a good, strong, grown-up story, with that spice. That's
Yeah, well, I think that's
yeah.
that's probably quite unique, I think, in some ways to the furry community. For even right back to probably the start of these with the adult stories, but they were always very rich in character and plot. They were they wasn't like the rest of the adult industry, shall we say? That there was just putting out videos and DVDs at the time. Like it was all about the story and the people and the characters a
Mhm.
lot of the time.
Yeah, with that
Yes.
extra hook to draw in an audience. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this must be what, fast maths, 15 years later. That
Yeah.
and I was keen to understand, like, over those 15 years, like, how has the planet changed and evolved for you?
Oh man, like it's exploded. Like it's like in terms of sales and in terms of the number of products we publish and the number of people that we work with has just continually increased. Um, and we've also, like I said, we've expanded our range a little bit. Like there's this sort of joke among some of my friends. It's like, oh, Fuzz and Tyrion run the porn company. And I'm like, no, it's not a porn company, it's a publishing company. And it's like, yes, a lot of it is adult in nature, but there's, I say not all of it. Uh, but
And is it still just you and Tyrion, or do you have other people helping you out?
it's me and Tyrion primarily. We're the two like official owners of it. But we have quite a good sized group of friends, especially for conventions that help us out. Where we're at the point now where sales are doing well enough for at a con where we will fly or people out or have them ride along with us, and we'll cover their registration in their room. And they help us out at the table for the 6-8 hours a day that dealing is over, and the load in and load out is very physically intensive because books in bulk are very heavy, and as we get older and get bad backs and stuff like that, having young fit people around to help is great. So we probably have like 5 or 6 friends that will help us out at various conventions depending on availability, day job location, things like that. We have editors that are assigned to particular anthologies. So Ian Keller does Roar, Sparf does Fang, Casey Alpinist does Claw, and those are our like ongoing anthology titles.
Mhm.
And
And how many
that
how many issues, like how much physical product are you taking to the conventions?
it depends on the convention. For a very large one like Anthrocon and Midwest Fur Fest, like it's a lot. It's like a full, like we rented a van for the last MFF that we did in December 2019. One of those vans that's supposed to seat like 7 people, and we took out all the chairs except for the front 2 and just absolutely loaded it. And we usually, some people have the feeling that they want to fly out there with a limited amount of stock, and the goal is to sell out of all of it and fly home with nothing, and that's great. And that's never been our approach. Our approach has always been, let's try to make as many sales as we can so that if we don't run out of something, then it's lasted all the way through Sunday. Everyone that wanted one got one. It's a nice feeling to be able to say I sold out of this new book that came out and so forth, but we tend to overstock a lot, and that's problematic in some ways as far as hauling all that stuff around or paying for it to be shipped for the cons that are too far away to drive to. But that's just kind of how we've rolled, and it's gotten harder and harder as our catalog continues to grow. We have to start leaving like a lot of the earlier titles at home unless it's part of a series, and being a little more choosy about what we bring and putting a heavy focus on any new releases. So there's a lot of logistics that go into planning for the various cons.
Mm. And you said, and so you drive there. That must take up a lot of your life, just driving around the road in a
We
trailer with scraping along the ground full of publications.
I I always joke that I'm going to die in a car wreck on one of these trips with my car rolling into the ditch, cracking open like an egg, furry products spew across the highway, and I'm just there like at the end of Carrie, just my hand sticking up out of a big pile of furry comics. He died as he lived.
Final breath saying, "Don't read them. just ignore them."
Putting it in my will, delete my browser history.
Plus everything in my house. When clearing out my house, please don't read anything.
Oh God! I mean, the production room alone, the FurPlanet headquarters room, just the things in there, absolutely packed. But we split the duty a lot because everyone has a day job. Like practically everybody in furry publishing has a day job. It's one myth I would dispel is that if people think publishing is a path to being wealthy in any way, it's not. It will support itself, but you can't support yourself and have a house or an apartment or whatever just based on this. It'd be nice to grow to that point. So we have to be very careful with our time. That's why we don't go to all the conventions. And sometimes like Tyrion will drive the stock in one of the vehicles and I'll fly out because I only have X number of days available or whatnot. So I'm not driving to all of them, but I'm driving to some, I'm flying to some. It's a mix, it depends. We try to drive to the in-state conventions. We drive to the Anthrocon in Pittsburgh, which is about 1,200 miles away. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it takes about 20 hours if you just straight drive through. So we usually get a hotel about halfway through, which is another expense to factor in and everything. But yeah, it's a lot of driving, but it's fun too. It's a good chance to catch up on audiobooks and podcasts.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you get through a lot of audiobooks and podcasts on a drive like that.
Yeah.
I do worry for you, Fuzz. Like, when was the last time you had a proper holiday?
I mean, define a proper holiday.
Yeah, what's a holiday? What are you talking about?
Like a week off somewhere? That
Yeah, let's
happen.
call it a good week where you're sitting on a beach with a Mai Tai.
That just doesn't happen. The last time I had a week off of work was when Tyrion and I were still a long distance relationship, and I took a week off while he was on spring break in college. So this was like 19, 20 years ago. But the thing is though, in a way we get like 6 to 8 holidays a year as we go to the conventions and we're at the table and we're dealing and we enjoy dealing. We enjoy being the furry book guys, and meeting people. And sometimes the authors are at the con and they'll come to the table and do signings, and they're very excited about that. And and that's great to see, and know that you're helping them out. And then after, unlike artists, where artists will take sketches and then usually end up going to a hotel room either by themselves or in a group and drawing and doing their homework, they call it, drawing all night. I talked to Heather Bruton at a convention, and she looked a little tired, and she told me she'd been up to 4 a.m. finishing the sketches from the previous day. But the advantage of our business, we do a lot more prep work in advance with all the editing and the typography and hauling it all around. But for us, once the den closes, that's it. We're off duty. We go to dinners, we go to parties, and we hang out with all of our friends, and, occasionally do some panels and stuff. So for us, the conventions are still a holiday. Like, they're a working holiday part of it, but unlike the day job, it's like the work that I'm actually passionate about and want to do. So that makes it very different. So in that way, we get a lot of holiday time, really, just spread out over weekends instead of a solid week on a beach.
Oh, well, hopefully sometime you can actually do a holiday that way you see some daylight rather than being in a convention hall.
Yeah, definitely. I go to all these cities and people are like, "Oh, did you go to this museum there? Did you see this great natural feature or anything?" And I was like, "No, I saw the airport or the highway leading into the convention center, and I saw the inside of the hotel, and that was it."
But you saw a lot of friends at the time, so that's the main thing.
That
And I was wondering as well, just from over the years, like, what have been some of the biggest challenges for you, like maybe just logistically or even just from a business perspective?
I mean, honestly, dealing with growth is a huge challenge. Finding enough people to help out, or very early on, we were open to novel and novella submissions, and we haven't been for ages, because once you start taking books and you have maybe 3 or 4 authors that you're working with, well, you're going to hopefully publish their next book, or their next book in that series or whatnot. So you already have a certain number of books that are coming in, from people that you're already working with, and you have your anthologies. And again, on the artist side, we also have people put out annual collections or a couple issues of a comic a year. So it really it really squeezes you for time. And I wish we had more time, and I'll probably be looking to maybe add more editors, and finding qualified people that you trust is a challenge. And also the big challenge is really just keeping all the plates spinning, and wearing many hats, because I got into this because of a love of furry and a love of books and art. But since then I've had to become a unqualified server admin before I eventually sought hosting elsewhere. But I'm also now a self-taught bookkeeper, accountant. I'm sending out contracts, calculating royalties, sending out payments quarterly, learning how to do all these things on different website platforms. A lot of things that aren't directly publishing that I need to know to run the business. And not all of that is fun and not all of that is interesting, but it has to be done. And, finding time to pick up new skills or learn how to do things more efficiently is a challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And do you still get a lot of people sending you novels and stories and comics?
The novels and stories, no, because we have it on our website that we're not open for submissions currently. We do frequently get comics. Not even frequently, like occasionally. Um, and we actually will, if we see one of us sees a comic online that we really like, we'll actually reach out to people sometime and be like, "Hey, are you interested in doing a physical print edition of this comic?" And for some artists, that's like a total surprise, because they're like, so much of how artists make their income now is like Patreon, and then posting their art to Twitter or FA, selling image packs on sites like Gumroad, or running their own website where they sell image packs and things like that. And doing like a physical edition or something doesn't always occur to people. And we've sold like a lot of copies of a lot of comics that are fully free and available online on FA or on the artist's website. And some people don't realize that there's a lot of people out there that really want a physical edition or something, or that they really enjoy reading a comic that they can hold, as opposed to electronically or on a screen. And once the full apocalypse hits and there's an EMP and we're sent back to like the Middle Ages, furry comics are going to be the new currency. So
NFTs.
yes, you have to have a good stash on hand, and you'll be buying and trading your food and housing with mostly adult furry comics. And
Man, I've got some
totally
original
believe that.
copies of ASB. Those things are going to be like gold.
There you go. Yeah, you could stay in a really nice hovel for a night.
And eat some rat meat burgers with one of those.
Yes.
So I was going to ask as well, like when you do take on, or when you used to take on a story, what is kind of the process from an author sending you whatever Word file, whatever they've written their book in or novel, through to getting that onto your stand table? Like what has to go into it to get it there?
So before submitting to us, definitely have it beta read, and not by your mom, your mate, or people that really like you too much to hurt your feelings. Have it beta read by multiple people that are going to give you honest feedback. Hopefully have it edited. And yeah, we'll have it edited, but have it edited beforehand too, just to make it the best version you think it can be before you even send it out to a publisher. And then, send it out to a publisher and we take a look at it. It's important to note different publishers have different requirements for submissions. Like some people just want an email with the basic synopsis, maybe a chapter or two, just so they know what your book is about, and then they can see what your writing is like. My preference personally is that you just send me the whole thing. And then if I start reading and I find that it's really hooked me and I want to keep reading, that's a good sign, and I'll just read it. Definitely don't. We got a lot of questions, especially at conventions, from people that are like, I've started writing this book, or I'm thinking of writing, and can I send it to you, or what do you think of this idea? And we're like, we don't want to see it until it's finished. So don't send me 6 chapters if you haven't written like the other 20 or whatever. We want finished works to work with. And then after that, it's unlike like large mainstream publishing companies. We really work with our authors directly a lot more in terms of like, say, cover art is a big thing. And like mainstream publishing, they have a whole department for that. The author is not really involved, and this is true of small press in general, not just furry. It's more collaborative. So we'll talk to you and be like, hey, highlight for us a couple of scenes that you would like illustrated, or do you have an idea, or do you have an artist that you would really like to see us work with? And some people have already got that lined up. I only recommend that for like people who have already published several books and have gotten good feedback on their cover art designs. For like Kyle Gold and for Ruckus, like they provide their own cover artwork. Like Kyle has a lot of artist contacts, and he always has a good idea of what he wants on his cover. So he delivers the artwork and interior illustrations to us with the manuscript. And that saves us a lot of time. For a new writer, we'll talk to you about that, and then we'll find an artist that we think will match up with the feel of the book, so that we get the right look to it. Then usually I'll do the typography on it. We send it off to our printer. And in non-COVID times, then it later shows up on our table at some convention. And it's not always the very next convention. Sometimes it will be like, well, the author is going to be at this convention 2 or 3 cons from now, so let's launch the book there, and they can be on a panel and they can do a reading, and then they can be at the table to sign it. Or we'll wait to like a very large convention, like there's like the big 4, at least over here in the US. Further Confusion, TFF, which is Furry Fiesta, Anthrocon, and Midwest Fur Fest are the 4 largest ones that we go to. And those are the 4 that, if we're going to launch a book, it would usually be one of those 4. And then, it's all the promotion. Like, it is very helpful if the author or artist has a solid social media presence, because the promotion is as much on us as it is on the individual creator. And, you have to have buy-in from the people that are reading your stuff. So totally promote that you're publishing a book and when it will be available, and retweet everything about it. And it's all very collaborative. So that's kind of a broad overview of it.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, let's get really nerdy. What's your favorite font for laying out a book?
Georgia, come on.
I can't use Georgia because my day job uses Georgia in all of their forms. And I'm like, no, I'm so tired of looking at this font. It does depend on the book to a degree, but I've used Adobe Jensen in the past. I'm partial to Garamond. Is it Meridian? I think is also or Myriad. I can't remember. There's another one that starts with an M that I quite like. And those are good for book body font. You don't want to set a whole. This is going a whole.
It's all right. I
font
set you up on this
rant.
tangent.
So yeah. So there is an amusement. So you know how everyone, it's sort of universal at this point to hate Comic Sans.
Mhm.
And the thing about Comic Sans is the reason it's hated is that it was pre-installed on Windows machines.
Yep.
It's used so frequently and ubiquitously, and the problem is that people use it for things that it's not designed for. It's designed to be a lettering font for comic books, or maybe as a display font on a very specific type of work. And I where I was going with that was I had read an interaction between an author and a publisher, and this was in a chat. And the author was like, "Well, I set my book in Comic Sans, and it looks fine to me." And they were like, "Wait a minute, you mean the interior? You set the interior of the book in Comic Sans?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did the whole thing in Comic Sans."
Well, I mean, as a designer, I'm always I will always defend Comic Sans, surprisingly, because like you said,
Right.
it was designed for a job. It was for, I think it was MS Bob, which is like a little talking dog for kids. So, and they didn't, and all they had was system fonts that were really boring. So the guy was reading the Watchmen comic at the time, and he really liked the lettering in Watchmen. I think it was Vincent Conner, I think, designed it. He then basically created the font for this little dog, and then it was the Windows people that were like, "Oh, that's a cool font. We'll just throw it into the system, like, as default." But then when you go through the system fonts, they were all boring, 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 boring. And then there's Comic Sans that looked a little bit fun, so it just became this default font that everyone went to for signs to say, "Please don't eat my sandwiches," or whatever it might be. It was just the one font everyone went to. So
Yep.
I don't think you can blame the font for this. It was designed for one thing and it was used for another. It's just when you get professional companies using it, or you see it on gravestones and things, and you think, no, this is not the time for Comic Sans.
Right, yeah. No, on a gravestone you use Bleeding Cowboy, of course.
I'm gonna have mine in Impact.
Oh yes. It is sort of like I watched the documentary Helvetica recently, which
That's good, yeah.
came out back in 2007. I finally got around to watching it. And Helvetica has the same problem, and the documentary is very good about going over this, how there was a period of time where everybody loved it. This is a new hotness. This does everything that we need it to do. And then there was a move to Helvetica represents everything that's wrong with capitalism, and all these companies are using it. And so we're going to move to all those wild and crazy and anything but Helvetica. And then it kind of had a resurgence in the other way. And it's really interesting to see that. So yeah, I think Comic Sans is unfairly maligned because people are reacting to seeing it in context where it is not appropriate and doesn't fit that particular work or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So yeah, and it's the same with artists. Like there's a lot of artists will draw a really amazing piece of art, but it might make a terrible cover. Like there's really specific things that you have to look out for in a cover, and then the typography is on top of that. And sometimes you will be really fortunate. You will find an artist who is a brilliant artist, but also knows typography, and then they can do the whole thing for you. And I just want to say Black Tegan is one of those people. All of our Black Tegan covers, she did the typography on them, and they're brilliant. She's one of my favorite cover artists to work with.
I don't know,
Just
yeah,
'cause she
there's,
has
there's always
that
the old
additional skill.
adage of never judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, that must be important. When you've got
Yeah,
100
it
covers
is.
plus on your desk, on your stand, it's got to be
Mhm.
important ultimately.
Judge the book by the
Yeah,
font.
we talk about this. Oh, sorry, what was that?
Judge the book by its font.
Yes. Judge the publisher by the font in that case, I guess. But no, we talk about this a lot in publisher chats, not just in furry, but I'm a member of a couple of small press organizations, and there's so many workshops and webinars on cover design and how to make the best cover, because like it may be an absolutely brilliant book that should win awards if anybody picked it up, and they're not because it has a terrible cover design or a boring cover design or just something that just blends into the background at a bookstore or on a convention table. And yeah, I cannot. And furry furry books have very different cover, like, sort of standards as to how they should look than the mainstream non-furry publishing does. Like, we did a book called Kismet by Watts Martin, and I actually did a little experiment with this where I did it with two different covers, and we have a non-furry imprint called Argyle Productions, and we have a furry imprint, which is of course FurPlanet. And same artist, Tegan, did both covers, and the Argyle one is more like what a mainstream science fiction novel would look like. It's a little more vague, it's a little more stylized, it focuses more on the spaceship and floating in space. But one thing to really know about furry publishing is if you want furries to buy it, put a furry on the cover.
Target
And
audience.
so
Yeah.
you have to know your audience. Absolutely. It's like romance novels. Romance novels, they all have the guy with the ripped abs, shirtless on the cover. Like, not all of them, but like a good chunk of them. And that particular look, what the genre is when you see your Fabio on a romance novel cover. Speaking of which, one of the most amusing Tumblrs I found back in the day was Objectified Scotsman, where once a week they would just post another romance cover that was a man wearing a kilt and nothing else. But
That's your
yeah,
Scottish roots first coming through.
absolutely, yes. I was going to mention that at some point for those listening at home that while I definitely sound American, I was actually born in Scotland and moved here so young that the accent has, I assimilated into the American culture. But
Yeah,
I
there
have
there is nothing left.
moved over here when I was a wee bairn. See, I could fake it if I have to,
Yeah.
but
My dad's from Aberdeen, so
okay, cool. I'm from you might know it. It's a very wee town called Dunoon.
Oh yeah.
It's like a little seaside tourist town that I looked it up online like maybe a year ago, and all the headlines were, "We're having a real problem with needles because of all the junkies coming in from Greenock." And I'm like,
Nice.
oh, my hometown sounds lovely.
Yeah, just make sure you wear strong boots when walking on the beach.
Yeah. Myself a pair of Doc Martens if I ever get to go visit Scotland again, because I'll want to do the walk down memory lane, and just very
Yeah,
carefully.
absolutely.
Apparently, memory
Well,
lane is cluttered with needles at this point.
yeah, just like I said, wear some strong boots and you'll be fine.
Right? Yes.
So just aware of time as well. We're rapidly running out of time, but I had a couple of listener questions I was going to ask you as well.
Sure.
The first one was from a Mr. Kyle Gold, and
Yes.
he was going to ask, and you might have to give a little bit of context to this as well. How did Fez and Rory meet?
Oh. I mean, I don't have an in-universe, in-character explanation, but this is actually an amusing story. of what happened in real life, and I'll try to tell it very briefly. Was we were gifted Rory by a friend years ago at that point. And he didn't have a name. He was just this fox plush, and he was just sort of around. And Tyrion went to, I don't think it was for Apocalypse yet. It was Fur Fright at the time. And he was getting into badgers, and he found this badger plush. And at the time, at least, badgers were not a common or easy animal to find a plush of. It was kind of rare, at least over here. Brits are way more into their badgers, so it might be a lot more common over there.
Yeah, not
but
many
he brought
badgers
this-
over there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know you love your badgers, and our badgers are very different. Our, the meme about the European badger wants to invite you to his cottage for a cup of tea, and the American badger wants to shank you in an alley. And unfairly maligned animals. But anyway, he bought this badger. He brought it home, and he starts annoying me with it. The way couples will do, like you hurt the ones you love, you annoy the ones you love. But he starts placing it around our apartment, and so I would find him in like a cupboard, for in the kitchen. I would open a cupboard, and this badger would just be staring at me. He actually attached a hair tie to his little paws, so those little nibs that hang off of an air conditioning vent. And he had him just hanging above the hallway one day and just appearing. And so I started retaliating. I grabbed this at the time random fox, and I started he had soft little paws, so I started bapping him in the face with it and everything. I'm a lifelong Doctor Who fan, and Tyrion was watching Doctor Who at that time. It was during the Matt Smith era. And we ended up calling the badger Fez. And then we had a local friend who was into crafting actually make him a little Fez, which turned out very cute. And I decided to name the fox Rory after Rory Williams from Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when we, I was thinking about, I was reading a lot about company identity and branding at the time. And I had looked at how other furry publishers had sort of branded their companies, and I didn't want it to be the Fuzz and Tyrion company. I didn't want our fursonas to be the mascots for the company. So I was like, FurPlanet should have a mascot, and we can use in promotional art and something cute that furries would enjoy. And I was like, well, these plushies are right here. We've given them names. We have little voices for them that are not our voices, but they have their own personalities now, which is our personalities kind of coming through them. But they're very distinctive. And I was like, why don't I just canonize these guys? So I found an artist, Idis, who is Idis Art on Twitter, if you want to follow her. She's very nice. She's actually done a couple book covers for us also. A lot of the Mary Loud Otters in Space books are Idis's art. But she did all the banners. We have 4 or 5 banners that we rotate on our website. But she did the initial banner for FurPlanet, and we had sent her photographs of the plushies and a couple of little drawings that a friend had done as con badges for them, because we used to take them to conventions, and someone was like, they need con badges. So we commissioned con badges. And and they're still a part of our lives. We still have the original plushies. We actually got so attached to them that we ordered backup copies, brand new, looked at their little tags and made sure we got the same model plushie and everything and ordered them. And then we had a friend come over with one of those vacuum seal machines.
I was about to joke that you would vacuum seal them.
No, we literally did, because what's the point of having the backup if the backup is also covered in dust from sitting in your cupboard for for 10 years.
I mean, you just got to make sure that Rory and Fez don't ever go into the loft one day or the attic and just see themselves in vacuum packs.
No. In canon, in character, we know that they have their clone backups, is what we call them. But if either of them are ever grievously injured or just get to the point that the fur is falling off the plush, then we will perform a altered carbon like download of their memories into the new clone.
I was gonna say a dollhouse-esque brain to brain transfer.
Yeah. So yeah, we have 2 vacuum sealed plushies. They're in Tieran's bedroom closet.
Wow.
But the originals are still in good shape, and we brushed them, and they get fluffed up because we play with them all the time. We're always like running them around the house and bathing each other and things like. Yes, I am a 45-year-old adult. Why do you ask?
There's no judgment here. No judgment.
Responsible businessman. And when I'm doing my accounting for my business, I put the badger next to me because the badger's the responsible one and the fox is the fluffy and flighty one. So I've actually commissioned Fez one of those little green accountant's visors. So part of my day one day was photographing his head, measuring it, and then sending that information to Taylor in the fandom.
Just sitting there in front of QuickBooks or something. Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Yep. That's our lives, and we're very happy.
That is very cute. And so just to wrap up today, and firstly, a big thank you for your time, Fuzz. It's been lovely talking to you and finding out all about the publishing industry. But I thought it might be nice just to end on just a quick little question, just about what is it about publishing that you love? Like, what is it that keeps you going all these years about it?
So I've come to think of myself as like a midwife for creativity. Like I don't have the time to write anymore, and I never got into drawing. But one of the things I love is knowing all these creative people, and especially when you go to a con and in business we call it networking, but it's really like hanging out with interesting people and getting to know them. And then they send you their baby, this precious thing that they've created, and even after all these years, I still rip open the packaging when I get that first proof of a new product, and I can't wait to see how did it turn out in print, after we did all this layout and design on it and stuff. So what I really love about it is that I'm in a small way I'm helping people achieve their dreams. We're helping pay for their lifestyle via royalty, their lifestyle being a self-sustaining artist or writer. And definitely don't just have one source of income when you're doing that and have it be us, because it's not going to be enough. But just being able to help people live their lives as a furry creator, doing what they want, makes me feel really good, and feels like that is one way that I'm contributing back to a fandom that's given me so much.
Oh, that's a great reason to keep going, and thank you for all of your hard work. I'm sure there's people who are listening in who've been to your stand and bought your comics, and all of your hard work has paid off for them. So, Fuzz, thank you so much. I'm sure everyone out there is giving you a big round of applause right now. It's the sound of hundreds of soft paws tapping together.
Bap, bap, bap.
Bap, 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 bap. Yeah, across the UK, little soft paws are bapping together. So thank you very much for your time. For everyone listening in, thank you for listening. We'll now open up our voice rooms and game rooms and all the other bits and pieces that we'll be doing this evening. Make sure to check out Bab's VR room as well. He'll be there welcoming you in and talking to you if you're new and you're struggling. I'm sure he'll be able to help, and there'll be people there. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Hopefully you can join us again in another 3 weeks' time, and we will have another guest to be confirmed. So good night, everyone. Have fun.
Goodbye.
Cheerio.